All right, hello. Welcome to the first episode of the JME Files Podcast. I'm really excited to be starting this show because there's going to be a lot of compelling information discussed on this podcast. We're going to be ranging from health and fitness to mixed martial arts to philosophical discussions to intellectual deep dives to current affairs, anything and everything. And I think you'll be quite compelled by the discussions that we have on here. Long form, so all the nuances and vital information and parts of the topics that really need to be addressed that maybe you don't see getting addressed on other networks or other mainstream networks, whatever it might be. You're going to get no holds barred here. But we're going to start off with a pretty safe, benign, and relevant topic, which is health and fitness. So everybody has a different idea of what health and fitness is. Some people, to them, it's just dieting. It's like going on the treadmill at the gym. It's like working out. And a lot of people have that sort of relationship or association to health and fitness. But let me tell you something. It's important to have a health and fitness regimen in your life, whatever it might be. I recommend you pick something that you enjoy. You have to pick something you enjoy. And the reason why is because it's a stabilizing force in your life. A lot of us have idle hands. And many of us who have idle hands, it can be the devil's playground. The devil comes out, I'm not even religious, but the devil comes out and he tempts you with different things to occupy your boredom with or your excitement. He can even tempt you with excitement. But like I said, I'm not even religious. That's just the most commonly used metaphor for not having things to do. But filling up your time is actually important. Like, people think that having like ultimate free time is the way to live, like that's the best thing for you. But the interesting thing is, and I brought this up before in other videos, is that you contain a power process. A human being is made up of the mind, body, and spirit. And these three things together is you. And one of the features of this triad or of this trinity is the power process. And the power process is the amount of work that you need to do in order to have power. Power in the form of energy. Power, like when you power on your house, there needs to be electricity to make the lights go on. And then you say you have power. That's what I mean by the power process. Yes, it can reach into higher levels of power, such as world power or power over other people or over organizations or countries and things like that. But the power begins with your your biology. It begins with powering yourself through the day to make it from the time you wake up and then enables you to do everything you got to do during the day, and then all the way till the time you go to sleep, you're using power. You need a power source. And so the power process is designed, our bodies are designed to do to exert a maximum amount of effort to get the minimum amount of results. So you're supposed to be hunting all day to get breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that used up all of your physical and mental energy just to get that. And then you got to cook it and all those things. That takes up even more energy. And so even when it comes to people that lift weights or like bodybuilders and things like that, you know that you're in the gym lifting these heavy weights for hours and hours a day for weeks, and you don't even really see results until after a couple weeks, and it's not that much. You're not going from like this bicep to that bicep in 2 weeks. So you're maximizing all the effort that you're putting out, and it's just giving you minimal results. But that is the power process. And that actually is aligned with our sense of well-being. So the mind, like I said, you're made up of a mind, body, and spirit. The mind actually likes having to go through a long process of effort and work for the reward. It likes working for the reward. That's why when you can have the reward instantly, right away, like we do nowadays, what happens later on kind of creates depression, demoralization. There's a lot of side effects that is caused from being able to have instant gratification all the time. Our bodies are not adapted to this short power process. It's adapted to a long power process. And so getting back to health and fitness and the stabilizing force that it is. Why is health and fitness a stabilizing force? It works like this. It's a cycle where each event is predicated on the last event, and every last event is setting up success for the next event. So whatever your chosen fitness activity is, whether it's going to the gym, whether it's doing yoga, whether it's going outside and running, whether it's hiking, whether it's martial arts, whether it's boating, kayaking, surfing, it doesn't matter. As long as you're exerting a lot of physical energy, you're going to need fuel to do it. Fuel in the form of nutrients. So when you live a lifestyle that is dedicated to your activity, to your fitness activity, and it's a hobby, and it's something that you can turn into a project where you have different goals and you have different desires and things that you would like to do and expand on with this activity, then it's even better, because then you have lots of room to grow and to work with. You have lots of things to work with. So getting back to the fuel, each meal that you have has got to be packed with the right nutrients to support your activity that you're going to output during your next workout. And so your life becomes a cycle of first being mindful of what you put in your body, then being mindful of how you prep what you put in your body, and then the activity that you do that uses the fuel that you selected and prepped, and then the recovery, the nutrients that you need to recover from the activity, the rest that you need afterwards. And every step of the way is vital. If you subtract one of those things, you're not going to have as good results. Will you have some results? Yes, you will have some results, because something is better than nothing. But if you want maximum results and you start seeing those results, and you remember, like I said, the power process is long, so it's maximum effort for minimal results. You don't want to minimize those results any more than they already are. So you'll want to be not missing an inch. You'll want to be having you'll want to have a tight ship. You want everything to be tight. You don't want to have any leakage or wasted energy, because you're already going to be exerting a lot. So you make it easy on yourself. The parts that are going to be hard are the workouts. That's where you actually want to exert the most effort and you want to suffer the most, is during the activity. You don't want to leave anything left. You want to make sure that you exhaust everything that you have, and then you build back. Then you exhaust everything you have, and then for your recovery time and your recovery nutrients, that's the time where the progress is actually being crystallized. So the training, the workouts, and all those things, it's putting in the results, but you actually get the end of the results during the recovery. So your muscles aren't growing while you're working out. They're growing while you're asleep. They're growing when you're recovering and resting. Then you'll notice the next time, a few days later, you'll notice like, wow, I grew. So that is how this whole process should look like. You should be mindful of what nutrients you're getting, mindful of how you prep, prepping so that you make it all really easy on yourself, so that you spend most of your suffering on the actual working out part, and you're not leaking out any energy or wasting any energy. And then you recover and you make progress and you get results and you get better at something. So here's the next thing. It helps to pick a fitness activity, and I mentioned this a second ago, that has growth, that you can actually get better. And so like martial arts is a great one, because it takes years to become proficient at any martial art, whether it's boxing, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, karate, taekwondo, just whatever you're doing, whatever martial art it is, it takes years and years to get good at it. Even if you try to cross-train, like even if you come from MMA, and so you learned how to strike in an MMA style, which is not exactly, yes, it's a jab across a hook, an uppercut, kicks, leg kicks, high kicks. It's those techniques that you'll see in kickboxing and in boxing, but the way they're utilized in boxing and in kickboxing is a little different than how they're utilized in MMA. Like, for example, in boxing, it's a lot more of a discipline than you need a lot more of a disciplined movements than in MMA. In MMA, you can be a little freer. You can kind of leave your hands down. You can have a wider stance. You can switch it up. And that's because you got to transition into takedowns if someone takes you down, and high kicks. There's lots of stuff that you have to look out for. So in boxing, it's just punches. And so that allows a tighter discipline. It allows cleaner techniques, but it also leaves less room for error. In boxing, you'll see like the most elite boxers, they make very little mistakes when you see them. Every time they throw a punch, they return to a defensive position instantly. They're never off balance. They're never out of position. I mean, of course, these things happen, but they happen a lot less than you'll see in MMA. Like overextending when you throw the left hand. If you're orthodox stance, you throw your left hand and you pull it back right away, so you're not overextended. Things like that. Like in MMA, you will see people look a lot sloppier and leave themselves open, exposed, out of position a lot more. So the discipline that you choose really matters, and you want to pick something that you can grow in and you can level up in, because it's going to take you a while, and most importantly, you're going to feel good about it. Because what is the point of being in a fit body, in a healthy body, if you don't need to be in one? Because if all you do all day is sit at the computer, then you really don't need to be fit. But if you want to get good at boxing or martial art or any type of activity or hobby like that, then your skills do matter. And there are levels to the skills, and you'll want to move up in those levels. And the thing is, once you move up, every time you move up one level, you're going to feel that much better about yourself because you're discovering things that you didn't know before. Like right now, there's people out there that can do so many things that they just don't know that they can do because they've never tried. But you can do those things. And for people that have never tried a personal trainer or things like that, what is the benefit of a personal trainer? A lot of it, it's not just motivation. It's not just about teaching you how to do the right things and to work out right. A lot of it is that they can see things you can't. So for example, like let's take boxing, for example. If you go hire a private coach for boxing and he works you out for the first time, he's going to burn you out. He's going to burn out your shoulders, your arms, and then he's going to continue the workout, pushing you more and more. But in the very beginning, if let's say you haven't boxed ever before and you haven't worked out, even if you have worked out in other things before but you never boxed before, you're going to feel like quitting within the first burnout. As soon as your private coach burns out your arms and shoulders, you're going to want to quit, and you're going to think that you can't go any further than just that. You can, though. That's the interesting thing. And they know that, and they can see that because they're around this all day. So what will happen is, in your mind, it's going to go to the first place, which is to quit. You're going to be thinking, I want this to stop. When is this going to end? When is he going to call? When is he going to let me stop? Your mind is going to go there because it doesn't know where else to go. But after a few weeks goes by, like you've had a few sessions with this, you get used to that feeling of reaching your breaking point. And you also get used to the fact that it is not actually your breaking point. By a long shot, you still have 3 or 4 more wins in you. And you get used to that. So this is really important. So over the weekends, I went to the beach. We went to the beach. Friends showed up and everything. So when my friends showed up, there was dolphins. There was dolphins way out in the ocean, but they were very close to shore, closer than usual. And as soon as he got to the beach, he saw them. He was so excited about these dolphins that he just swam out to the middle of the ocean to go touch them. And of course, the dolphins got scared and they left that part of the beach, the ocean that he was in. And we were watching him from shore, noticing, wow, he went out really far. Like, that's pretty impressive, actually. He's, like, far out there. And the thought crossed my mind. It crossed a couple other people's minds. Like, what if he can't get back in? Because the current was really strong that day, too. There's a rip tide. And he was pretty far out. And I don't know what he does I don't know, maybe he's a swimmer, like, in his free time. I don't know. But the thought crossed my mind, and it crossed others' minds at some point, because we saw him turn around and then stop. And he just stopped. But he wasn't like flailing or calling for help or anything, so we just thought he's fine. The thought crossed my mind that what if he can't make it back in? And he ended up making it back in, but it turns out he could have died out there. So he told us when he got back, like, oh my gosh, like I haven't swam in 20 years, like I could have died out there. I ran out of energy as soon as I got out, and I didn't have any energy for the way back. And as a miracle, he got back. But what does that say? It says two things. It says, one, what your mind is telling you is not correct. Your mind is telling you can't go anymore, that you can't do anymore, that you got to quit, otherwise you're going to collapse. It's not true. It's all mental. It's where you put your mind. So in his case, he didn't have a choice, because the only other choice was to die. So his mind went elsewhere. Where did it go? It fished deep into his memory banks, and he started remembering different strokes that he had learned in an earlier part of his life, and he knew about the egg beater stroke and the backstroke and all these different types of swimming techniques, and it all just came back, and he was able to make it to shore. But the thing about health and fitness, when you're on a weekly basis pushing yourself beyond your breaking point, or beyond I don't want to say your breaking point, because there is a breaking point where you can break. You don't want that. That's overtraining. But you still want to go past your comfort zone. You still want to go past your first desire to quit or to rest. Because that first desire, even the second or third one, is not really the real breaking point. And so when you're training all the time, you get used to that feeling. You get used to saying, okay, the first desire to quit is coming, but I know I can still go. And you'll be able to have that confidence, and you won't panic when you're in these death-defying circumstances, and you don't know what's going to happen. You could be in a car, you could drive off a cliff, you could be on a plane, it could crash on an ocean. You just don't know. That's why they're accidents. That's why they're emergencies. They're not planned. They just happen. But when you have that peace of mind, because you know that you're ready to handle these things, so you stay ready and you don't have to get ready, it's going to give you that much more confidence, and that confidence also generalizes to every other aspect of your life, whether it's dealing with a job or clients or anything that you have going on in life, or any obstacles that you have to do. Maybe you're losing a loved one, and you have to take care of this loved one in their final days, and that's a drag, and you're having to see them in compromising situations, and having to like clean them and do all those things like that. Even something like that, if your health and fitness is straight, you can cope with those things better. And like I said, having that stabilizing force, so that you're not wondering, what do I do? What do I do? No, you already know what to do. You already know, because your day has to include this activity at this time, and before the activity you have to prep the food. And so you get into this cycle. But it's also the endorphin release, that when you work out a lot, when you work out in general, when you just go for a walk, it releases endorphins. Anytime you're fighting back against your own resistance, it releases endorphins. So you feel the pain and the fatigue start setting into the muscles, to the body, but you keep pushing. That releases endorphins. Any type of pain releases endorphins. Any type of shock to the body that requires a stress response releases endorphins. And so something that I really enjoy is, after working out, go in and take a really cold shower. Yes, it's painful and shocking at first, the cold shower, but that's what you want. That's what switches on the body's stress response. That's what releases the endorphins. So leading this lifestyle with a health and fitness regimen, the stabilizing force in your life, is going to allow you to be the best to be at your best. Some people call it the best version of yourself. Well, to be the best version of yourself, you got to include health and fitness. You got to include physical exercise. You got to activate muscle groups that are normally dormant, that are starting to form cobwebs. If you're sitting around a lot, there's a ton of cobwebs in all these hidden muscle groups throughout your body that are not being used, that are not being activated, that are getting no blood flow and oxygen into those parts. And so you're more prone to injury. Just existing, you're more prone to injury. So you'll want to include workouts, activities that activate all parts of your body, moving your body in different weird positions. That's why yoga is really good. Because if you just run and you're doing the same motions repetitively all the time, and it's just running and you're keeping the same pace, you're only going to be able to run good. You're not going to be able to transition this into something else. So like example for fighting. In fighting, it's not, even though a lot of fighters run as part of their regimen and they run in the morning as their pre-workout, you can't just rely on running for your endurance training, because in a fight situation, your heart rate is varying. There's a lot of heart rate variability. You're speeding up and going explosive, then you're coming back down and going like real slow it down, and then you're going like fast, and then you're slowing it down again, and then bring it back up, and then slow it down, then bring it back, slow it down. It's like you're always fluctuating in your motion, your movement, but also your heart rate variability. It's always changing. So if that's what you plan on doing for your fitness or for your coordination, just for your hobby, just things that you're into, then you have to work out according to the activity. So like another example is that in boxing, striking, let's just take striking sports for example, where kickboxing or boxing, you are using a lot of fast bursts of explosive neurology, more so than you are muscular strength. And so you'll notice a difference, because I had this happen to me. I lifted weights for a long time, and because I wanted to just get bigger. And then when I started boxing, it was really difficult for me, actually. I was really slow. Everything felt like I was like in the mud. And then I ended up shredding down the muscle that I built and just losing it, basically. And when I took off a lot of the muscle and focused more on neurology, wow, you realize that your neurology and its ability to fire rapidly in these like fast twitch fibers, getting them to fire rapidly, is a really different experience than having muscular strength, where you could like deadlift and just reach down and like pick up a couch or pick up an Olympic bar with plates on the ends. And it's a really different experience when it comes to your neurology. So it's about speed in striking. It's about speed, so it's not about weight and strength. So how fast can you go from point A to B? How fast can you fire your arms, your whole entire neurology, going from the feet, the hips, to the core, to the shoulders, to the full arm extension? How fast can you fire up that kinetic chain in one motion? So it's like a gun firing. It's like a piston, a gun firing off. How quickly can you fire that whole entire kinetic chain? And that's a neurological thing. It's not a muscular thing. Although training your muscles can help with that. So that's why, like an example of a workout you could do for striking, if you want to work out for boxing, is that you would do a lot of like, just get a weight, not too heavy, but you would do it like, you would do a fast motion, and then you're training your nerves, and you'll do it up. You could do it different directions. Up is a good direction to go, because you got to keep your arms up. So obviously this is harder than this, so the more you do this, by the time you do this, it's going to feel that much easier. But sometimes you will have to punch up if your opponent is taller than you. So this is why the importance of health and fitness is vital as a stabilizing force in one's life. It just keeps you on track. And I've trained now at 3 different martial arts gyms, some MMA gyms, and 2 boxing gyms. And the same students in each gym have always said that when they feel lost, where do they go? They go to the martial arts, they go to the gym. Not 24-hour fitness or just like a gym where you lift weights, but an actual place where transformation happens. Because when you go to a martial arts gym, it's a really sacred place where you are destroying parts of yourself on the mat, like in this ring, you're destroying parts of yourself. And you're revealing and cultivating other parts of yourselves, and you're becoming a master, a diamond. That's basically what is happening. You are a diamond in a polishing diamond in progress. And so I kind of look at everything I do is I look at it as like a polishing diamond in progress. Like even with philosophy and hypnosis, eventually, these are things that require the passage of time. Time is a great indicator of success, really, because ideas are only gonna be good if they can withstand the test of time. If anything could withstand the passage of time, it's a good idea. Most of the time, bad ideas will not survive the passage of time. But like I said about the polishing diamond in progress, philosophy and getting to know all the different philosophies, forming your own philosophies, getting good at hypnosis, thousands of hours hypnotizing people, helping people, thousands of hours boxing, thousands of hours performing techniques, can only reach mastery. You can only become a diamond through the passage of time. And so don't be afraid of old age. Like old age, you couldn't master things without it, without getting older and without time. So don't be afraid of time. Use time is the thing. And the quote I have up on my Instagram is, if you don't impose order on your time, disorder will use up all your time. So just impose a little bit of order on your time, and you'll see that you don't want to spend too much time looking for ways to spend time. You already want to know. You already want to know. Like right now I'm doing this podcast. Before this, I taught a class. Before that, had a meeting. Then tonight, we go to boxing. See, the day is like filled. And yes, I have pockets of free time in between that I use for recovery and for R&R, but for the most part, I like to have my days so that I don't have to think about what to do. And so health and fitness as the stabilizing force in your life is one of the best things that you can do right now without having to go out and shop or do anything. As long as you have access to water, some running shoes, some like loose-fitting clothes, just go outside, run, and breathe in that fresh oxygen and get those endorphins going, and then go take a cold shower and then get that second wave of endorphins going, and then go eat, and then go talk to people and see how it makes you feel. It's going to make you feel great. So before we tackle all these other problems in the world, just overcome and tackle yourself first. That's the first person that you got to conquer when you wake up every day, is you, yourself. So yeah, this has been the first episode of the JME Files podcast. Topic was health and fitness as a stabilizing force in your life. And look forward, I will be releasing one episode every Monday. Every Monday. So just one a week, every Monday. JME Files podcast. Subscribe, hit the like button, and comment. I will respond to the comments. And I know I've been bad at responding to comments like in the past and all that, because I don't really check that often, and I'm always talking to clients and things. So the YouTube channel was more just like a hobby. I like making the videos and stuff, but now since this is going to be a podcast format, and the discussion and the engagement and then what you guys want to hear is going to matter. So episode number 1, really happy to have you aboard, and hope you guys have a really great week. Stay safe out there, and if you can, and if you would like to experience the best version of yourself and a maximized, optimized life, then have your stabilizing force, a health and fitness regimen, one of your choosing that you really like, find compelling, and include that into your lifestyle and your life. All right, so have a great week, everyone. Bye for now.